What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Tower Talk Show. I am your host, The Beard. We have former Guardian here with us, and of course, Not So Gamer. How
¿Qué
you
onda,
fellas
güey?
doing?
Bien, bien, todo bien.
Todo
Good.
chido, güey.
Todo chido. Quiero
Va a ser
Taco Bell.
un episodio de puro español.
That's oh boy. We lost. Everybody stopped listening.
I don't think
We
I
gotta-
can talk anything Destiny related in Spanish.
Doubt it.
I don't know any of the words. How do you say
We got-
warlock
we
in
got-
Spanish?
There's El Amado is the beloved. You have I watched this streamer. He's like really good and from Mexico. He's from Baja California. He's like freaking good, and like asked him to carry me, and he said he would. I'm just waiting for that day.
All right, how do you say the drifter?
I don't know. I'm not that hardcore into it, but I am
El
getting into the
Drifter.
lore.
El Drifter.
El Drifter, for real?
I don't know, dude. I haven't played it on Spanish.
But like, I mean, I do listen to some of the lore in Spanish. It's kind of cool. But honestly, if you were to switch it to Jap with the English subtitles, it does sound pretty tight. Like Zavala sounds like All Might, dude.
I've heard that before.
Dude,
I've heard
anything
people play
Japanese just is awesome.
It's just sexy, dude. Yeah, hands
So
down.
we got a whole boatload of stuff to get into tonight. We're going to be talking Solstice, where we're at with it, how's the grind been going, what it's done to trials, if it's kind of been a net positive or net negative on trials this week. We're going to be talking every time Bungie makes an announcement about something, just what we expect as kind of a player population versus kind of the final product. Maybe our expectations are usually a little too high. And then we're going to be getting into a kind of state of the sandbox, or just a couple of specific areas. I know the sandboxes, it's a whole thing. But we'll kick it off with the build of the week. I know, former Guardian, you've been blinking around, clicking on some heads.
Been playing a little bit of warlock, branching out. You can't always play hunter. You gotta play the good classes too. You know,
But you can never play Titan.
You can. Titan's fun to play too because it's like, oh wait, I got my health back just because I punched the dude. That's awesome. You know, like things just happen, and you're like, how did I? Because my exotic just kills people. Okay, that's cool.
I slid on the ground and I got tier 1 rampage.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Or meleeed. That also triggers it. Anyways, not to bash on Titans out the gate, but was playing a bit of Warlock this week, and I tweeted out about it, but shout out to Azdacross. He had a video about the first in last out shotgun that you can get from the Engrams, and he rolled it with hip fire grip opening shot, and then threw a freehand grip mod on it so that your hip fire is just through the roof accuracy, and you can basically reliably hip fire a slug shotty, and it'll like always hit your target if they're within the fat hip fire circle you're pointing in their direction. And so I ran that with both Astrocyte Verse and Ophidian Aspects on Bottom Tree Voidwalker, and it was kind of fun. I would hip fire them with the shotty. If it crit them, they died. And if it didn't, I had a long... Warlocks already have a long melee range, but with Ophidian Aspects, you get an extra meter. And so you could just lunge at them from stupid distances and slap them and proc Devour. It was kind of fun. It was more an aggressive style build. I haven't blink shottied in almost forever because I hardly ever shotty to begin with, but it was fun. Just running around, hip firing, slapping people on Warlock. It's pretty good.
Did you, were you on M&K or mouse?
M&K.
Wait, awkward. Or, okay.
Those are the two options, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding, gamer.
What would it have been as effective had you been on controller, do you think? Because you were telling me you blink over people and kind of whip around and slap them in the back.
Yeah, the way
tap their little booties.
Well, the way that Crucible is, most people are rolling with a shotty, and if they are, they've probably got quick draw on it. So anytime I would blink directly at somebody or try and just like close the gap if they were far away and like just slide at them and shotty them or whatever, as soon as I blink in their direction, they whipped their shotty out, and they'd usually beat me because I suck with shotty. And so if they were long range, I'd primary them, but if they were medium to close range, I would kind of sprint at them and blink at an angle, so I would kind of be behind them, and I'd come down on them from behind while they're trying to spin around and find me. But as far as it working with a controller, I think it'd probably work better, just because that shotgun it builds around additional aim assist, and that is like, you know, to the 10th degree if you're using a controller, because that adds aim assist just because of your input device. So I think it would be a similar situation as Last Word. Last Word, it can still be great with M&K, but use it on a controller and it's like headshots for days. And so I would imagine you'd get more crits out of your hipfire shotty using a controller, but I haven't tried it.
Gamer, you're still on that Last Word train, huh? You never got off.
No, man, I love that thing, man. That thing, and then especially now with the buff they got with hipfire, like, man, I think that thing is so sticky, man. It's crazy because I watch other like content creators when they get played against Last Word, they're like, oh man, that thing's like nasty. How does it got that much range? And I'm like, bro, man, Last Word's cracked.
Have you tried it with Lucky Pants yet?
Not yet. I haven't. Yeah, I honestly haven't really like done a whole lot of PvP until this weekend, dude. So, like, I want to get into that. We'll probably do something today and rock it out. But
if you pair it with Lucky Pants, it's almost like having a shotgun. Like you basically use it as a shotgun to where someone pushes up on you, you just whip it out. You have more aim assist because it gives you for like 2 seconds when you swap, and it insta pulls it out, which is nice because you have the little twirl animation on it. So it's
which is
pretty
sweet,
nasty.
like, which is pretty badass. But then, like, at the same time, though, like, I don't want to get sidetracked, but since the nerf to Ace, like, you would expect Lucky Pants to be back up in its prime, and it's so sad that like it's still not up where it used to be. Like, but anyways, that's a side note. But other than that, I mean, this week, so obviously we have the Solstice stuff. My gear dropped with like very very high discipline. So like I always had an 8, so I made a Shinobu's Vow finally off of that, and it's really, it's super fun. Like just throwing it, getting kills with it, and then like I maxed out my cloak too, so I had enhanced ashes to assist. So I mean, I was just getting my super bag just off grenade kills, man. It was a lot of fun, man. Like I didn't expect I was gonna have that much fun with it, but I totally did. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's strong.
What's the cooldown? We got 100 discipline, or how high did you say?
Yeah, 100 discipline.
100? Yeah, that's crazy.
Discipline with weapons with demolitionists, which makes
it's like 40
all my weapons. I used an old fashioned with demolitionist and an annoying hunger.
30 something.
Yeah, and an annoying hunger with demolitionists, and then a rocket with demolitionists. All 3 stacked and bottom tree arc.
It's a dirty combo.
I was getting grenade. Like that's literally all I had. Grenade, get a kill. Grenade, get a kill. Grenade, get a kill. And that's over. Repeat. It was pretty nasty. So for I loved it though.
The folks listening back home, he really does call it annoying hunger.
Yep,
he's not saying it wrong.
I'm not saying it wrong. That's what I call it, annoying hunger, because it is so effing annoying. Because that's all you see in Crucible.
Yeah, not to jump into the sandbox stuff because I know that's going to be later on, but I don't think auto rifles are necessarily like a menace per se, but I think there's a handful of things putting them in a situation to where they're better than they should be. Specifically, the mod, the scatter targeting mod that costs 1 energy that everybody doubles up on,
like,
and the fact
hold on. But last season we had the same. Last season it was actually.
Last season was a problem
too. It was focused on auto rifling. Remember, it was like it cost 1 for auto rifle. So here's my thing. My thing isn't the fact that, I mean, and we'll probably get to it later on because I know on our notes we're going to talk about it. But all I'm going to say to bring this up until we get there is that the AR meta right now is ruining other guns, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Because now you're making other guns not that. Like for example, like we did like. Just normal Crucible, and I'm clapping people with pulse rifles, and I'm like, don't bring a pulse rifle against an AR fight. You will lose that battle every single time. So, I mean, we'll talk more about that, but that's my problem with it. It's just, it just literally, you just wasted a whole half like other guns just like in the vault, not really doing anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's honestly, that's kind of the case with any meta, right? Like back when it was just spare benders, it's like, why use anything else?
But spare benders though, like, see that during that time, like you still had other things to fight against it. Like you had fusions that were still pretty good. You had Vigilant Swing at that time was pretty decent. Mida was still pretty decent. So like you just kept your
heavy
distance.
pulses were good.
Exactly, heavy pulses were still effective
Blast
for. So now that Blast Furnace was a huge meta during that time. So like that's the thing. Nowadays you can't even bring a Blast Furnace because my summoner will outrange that and TTK you way faster than you against me. You know what I mean? Like, and that's for me. That's just kind of sucked, especially when everything's getting sunset and you want to use these weapons before they like leave. You know, now you just can't. Like today, I dismantled my Randys today. I was like, I haven't even used this gun since the AR switch.
Oh. Scout rifles are a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, and I fell in love with it when I first got it, and like, excuse me, now it's like worthless, you know. So, but like I said, I don't want to talk too much about the meta because we will get there. I know we got a lot to discuss, so I just wanted to bring that up.
We'll get there because we have some opposing viewpoints. I'm not as anti-AR. It's just, and honestly, this is kind of the backdrop for a lot of what we'll be talking about tonight. But it's just when like nerfs and stuff happen, or when something gets buffed, it just kind of it's just this pendulum that kind of swings from one extreme way over to the other, and it's not even just like ARs, like it's really just 600s, because like name another auto rifle in the game.
Yes, absolutely. You're 100% right. One. Like the top ARs that are melting is Summoner, is Summoner and 900. Those are the two most dominant guns in the game right now.
Like a distant third.
Yeah, and Suros. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, like exotics. Yeah. But yeah,
and believe it or not, even after the hard light nerf, people still using it. It's still clapping butt cheeks, man. Like it's still doing its job.
Yeah, I ran in one the other day, and guy was cleaning house, especially with the ricochets, because they still do big boy damage. So
they still get that extra damage. Yep.
Yeah, you got some fall off, but as soon as somebody runs around a corner, you just fire down that hallway, and any shot you hit.
False promises. You don't see them as much, but yeah, you could probably assume it's so false promises in that category.
Yeah. Well, how are you guys hanging with Solstice? It's been a week. We've had a week to grind it out. Gamer, I think you're farther than either of us are. But
I think Former is now passing me on his. Did you get a glow?
You're on the third purple, aren't you?
Yeah, I got the glow on my legs. I got the Trials glow. I didn't get the chest glow. I missed the Pit of Heresy, but I'll do it probably tonight.
So you're way ahead of either of us.
Yeah, I haven't passed the first purple set.
Oh, you haven't? I thought you have.
No, I got it. I bought my ornament, and then I took the armor off, and I went back into Crucible the few times I played last week, so I wasn't progressing.
Well, honestly, though, it's kind of cool, because once you finish that first set of purples, like, you don't have to wear that gear no more, which makes it 10 times better. It's just, and I think, Former Guard, you were telling me last night, it's only like, you only need to do it with one character.
Yeah, it's across all classes.
Yeah, so that's really nice, because imagine doing trials with like characters you're not good with, like, oh, that's a hell no written all over it.
Doing trials.
Yeah, imagine. So let me say this, I guess, to kind of kick this off, because this is kind of where my whole because we talked about Solstice last week. Now we've had a week to kind of get our feet wet. I want to throw this out there. I think, in my opinion, this is the third year we've had Solstice of Heroes. I think for me, this could either be like just the worst, right? Solstice sucks. We hate Solstice. No content. Whatever. F Bungie. Or honestly, in my opinion, this probably is the best Solstice has ever been because of the armor setup. Now, hear me out. The fact that you can just do the blue set, that's just finish the blue set, and then you have a kick A ornament for that character, universal ornament across the board. You can get out, stop playing it, spend your 6,000 Bright Dust, get your glows, and then be done with it. I'm all for it. I dig the Solstice. Like, I've come to love it. What's the timeout?
I mean, you glanced over the fact that it costs 6K Bright Dust, but yeah, outside of
1,200 silver, like, just throwing it out there.
Here's the thing. In my humble opinion,
that is it. You're right. That is a problem.
Without getting into the fact that it is very monotonous, and I'm seeing comments in chat already, the grind is grindy for grind's sake and nothing else. I would have loved, and granted, I didn't expect anything to be different because this is the third Solstice, and it's been this way all 3 Solstices we've had. It's just a laundry list of go get 600 kills in a strike and go get 100 kills in the Crucible, and it's
same content, the same stuff you've been doing all the last 3 years, over and over again.
It's not special. It's not interesting, and it's just like you go in, you play a Crucible match, for example, because you got to get 100 kills. You finish the match, you check it. Okay, I got 20 that game. And you go back into another match, and you just sit there and you play matches over and over and over until you check that one off the list, and you're like, all right, what's the next one? And it's just boring. So, like, that aside, in my humble opinion, I think that what is the ornament that has the glow, depending on what subclass you have selected, that should have been the reward for carrying the armor all the way through. In my opinion, it should have been an ornament at the end, and the white glow should have been the ornament being sold. That's my opinion. I think that would have made...
This is what I think.
So you're saying flip the white and the...
Flip them, but make it an ornament at the end, not just my armor glows. I know transmogs,
right?
I know transmogs coming out, and that's why people are pushing to get the white glow. But like in the past seasons, the Solstice, it's always had a glow of the light colors. It was orange, purple, and blue. And granted, you had to like put an item or use like a currency you would get from the event onto your armor to give it that glow. So it's kind of a cool twist that it's whatever you're using. I think that's kind of cool because then you're just like emanating whatever your subclass is. But I think that should have been the reward for going all the way through the armor, still being an ornament at the end of that. But then have the ornament that you're selling for Bright Dust and Silver be the silver one, because that's like, or the white, whatever glow you want to call it, that's kind of unique. That's not, particular to any specific subclass or anything necessarily in the game. It's kind of something special and different. But
so in other words, you think getting up to the white glow isn't worth the grind?
I mean, I'll do it because I like running like black and white shaders and things, and I think it'll go good with that. So I want it for when Transmog comes out, at least on my Hunter. I might push for my Warlock.
Right, but pretty much so what I'm saying is like, what is that white glow the perfect reward for this Solstice?
It's not an ornament.
That's what I'm saying. See, for me, like, I think it was a huge miss that once you completed that whole grind, like you weren't able to see. I was hoping like for once I finished that last grind of it, that last piece, like for example, the legs where the 7 trials went. Once I hit that, I was hoping I would have gotten like an ascended like shard, or just automatically masterwork my weapon and then have it. You know what I mean? Like, I wish it would have just given you the opportunity to have it masterworked, because then you would get more people like excited on board. Like, I don't think a whole lot of people have a lot of like masterwork sets, so this could have pushed you towards that. You know what I mean? It could have pushed more of the community, more casual players into getting some better stat armor, because you've grinded for all this instead of like, hey, look at this thing glows, like look at that. You know what I mean? Like, I really wish something like that would have been the reward, instead of like, yay, I got it, and then here it is. You know what I mean? Like, because once you finish that purple set, man, that was a lot of grinding. And then on top of that, to make it glow, you got to go do a master nightfall. Like, dude, people have hard times doing just the regular legendary one.
Something to throw in there, though, that I found out reading the TWAB just a little bit ago. You finish the purple set, right? And then you get to the Magnificent, which is the last step where you do the trials, the nightfall, everything.
Pit of Heresy,
Pit of Heresy. You can continue that after the event is over.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
nice.
I don't know what the time limit is. I don't know what the cutoff is, if it's just till the end of the season or what. So you can at least finish the first round on the purple set and then kind of take a break. Take a breath. Maybe go do it on some other characters. I don't know. But then you don't get like the ×2 and ×3 progression on your other people. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't know. That's why for me, like I was able to get the universal ornament, which was the only thing that I cared about, and I picked up the glows, and I'm happy. Like, I mean, maybe I will, maybe I won't. To me, getting the white glow and not have it be the masterworking part aside, because you are right. I think that would have been that much more of an incentive is for it to then just become masterworked.
I
That
think
would have
people
been
expected it too, because that's how it's
Yeah,
been.
good.
Yeah.
That's how it was year one, and ever since that, you never had it. Ever since they did this whole enhancement core tie things to
Well,
master
that's the
things.
thing is transmog next season could be not anything close to what we're expecting. And this
Yeah,
is one of the
yeah,
topics that we have is
and,
like they
and not
announce
even that,
something and
bro.
it ships different.
Beard, but
So
not even that, dude. What if like transmog, you actually have to like pay things for it? Like, why are we saving all
we
this
already know we
cool?
do.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
something.
Like we're already like having to pay to masterwork our gear to make our stuff look cooler, and then now transmog, here it comes. But yet you're gonna have to pay like an arm and a leg. You still gotta go visit Spider.
It's
Like
going to
that's what I'm
cost 3
expecting.
ascendant shards per item to
Exactly.
transmog.
Yeah, it's gonna be something bull crap like that we've been seeing like lately, where it's like you're gonna have to spend so much time grinding just to get your character to look good. You know what I mean? So, I mean, who knows? Hopefully, I'm wrong. Hopefully, it's just a button that says you want to transmog this, do it, and then that's it. Yeah, you got it. You know?
But like costing glimmer, costing legendary shards, like everything in the game costs at least something. But like with the mass deletion of shaders, we were just like, yes, I'm gonna get all of this Atlantis wash out of my vault. And then you sit there and you can only go 5 at a time.
On a
And so-
really slow button hold.
But, like,
Literally only 5 at a
See,
time. So
but we're
so
going back
transmog
to.
could be-
Oh, sorry.
No,
Sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
I mean, I just because like we could grind out for this white glow, we get it, and then transmog ships, and then something could be totally different to where like you can't even, you can only do certain pieces, or certain pieces only apply to like certain armor sets. I don't know, like because that's kind of how universal ornaments are, or ornaments are now. Like your world drops don't apply to your PvP set of armor, and vice versa. So it's like I already don't understand how universal ornaments aren't completely universal. So I'm just saying transmog could ship totally different, which makes me less excited to go and get that white set because it's just already not an ornament. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just work
Yeah.
here.
No, but it's kind of like when we had Taco in last week. He was saying how like other games, you know, if you want to do something, you just go and do that. You know, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. You know, you can put in the hours or the time you're doing it, but eventually you'll get what you want because you're putting in the time and the effort.
There's an
right?
economy. Everything's tied
Exactly.
together.
Exactly. So when we have to like do more, so you know, on top of stuff we're already doing, and then you're expecting RNG to like be the end all break all, like that for me is just kind of like, what the heck, you know what I mean? So then with the transmog stuff, that's what I'm getting at, is that now think about what if we have to grind some RNG stuff to like transmog this stuff, you know what I mean? That's what I'm like so
You probably
afraid
will.
of.
Let's be honest. This is Destiny, and
Mhm.
RNG is literally in everything. Name one thing that you obtain in the game that isn't tied to RNG. I dare you.
Exactly. See, so that's my worry. It's that like we're getting all these stuff. So for me, that's why Solstice, because all this stuff ties to Solstice. You know, like we're getting all this cool stuff, like getting all these cool armors, and then it's on top of that, you can't even like bring it in because like then there's going to be something at the end of that tunnel that's going to be like, oh wait, before you come out of the tunnel, you got to go down this rabbit hole and like rescue this like whatever thing, and then bring it back up. And then
Probably
after
Princess
that,
Peach.
you'll get a chance of me even giving you the stuff you want. you know what I mean? So like that's my problem with
Yeah, I
like,
mean, going back to where this conversation started, is that white glow worth the grind? I don't think for most people it is. I think a lot of people are doing it because there's not a
The
lot
seal.
to do right now, content-wise, as far as new things or like quest lines, other than completing that armor. Like that's really what the event is. It's completing the armor set, and if you want to farm packages, which we gave a pass to Bungie last week based on a TWAB, and
Yeah, seriously.
from what I understand, you do get purple pieces of armor to drop from those packages, but it's like every 3 or 4 packages you open, you're getting a piece.
you have to do
which,
the-
I haven't
quest
even
step,
gotten
too.
one purple drop. I was
Have you
hoping to
gone
get
back
better
to
gear.
Eva? You have to go talk to Evil Levante.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
talked to Martha Stewart, dude. It's still same old bull crap.
So you have to turn. So you haven't noticed a difference in your drop after you give her the keys or whatever?
Nope.
So from what I understand, what Beard's talking about is you talk to her, you pray at the altar or whatever that gives you your last purple set, and then you, I guess, have to go back and talk to her again and say okay or whatever, and then it should potentially, supposedly, according to sources unknown that wish to be kept anonymous, you can get purple drops out of the packages. But I mean, MTash even made a video on it, and he's like, yeah, this is like the same drop rate as last year, and it's not good. It's like every 3 or 4 packages, but sometimes 5 or 6, you go in a row without getting a purple drop, you know, if you're sitting there trying to grind for it. And if it's meant to be a way for you to get good stat rolled armor, I think that's great. But, I mean, let's compare it to another event that does that, like Iron Banner. Every time you turn in 20 tokens, you don't have any chance of it dropping a blue, or people would, like, kick Saladin off the tower, like, Spartan style.
Shove him back into the gong. That's
Why,
on fire.
like, my question is, why are blues even in the loot pool for those boxes? I understand if it was, you know, hey, you have to get to that last set of purples for the purples to start dropping. But put something else in. Like, why blues? It literally just decrypts into Glimmer. Nobody, just give me the Glimmer. Don't even waste
what
my
you're
time with
talking
having to
about-
decrypt it.
With the whole RNG thing, when you're talking like I want to min-max my gear, like especially in a build like Trials, I'm putting together a high intellect build. And depending on what weapons you're running, you need a different affinity. And so if I really want to like actually min-max what I'm after, I need a high recovery, high intellect build for each armor piece, or roll, sorry, for each armor piece, and then again times 3, one for each affinity. And so in a situation like this where it's just like, here's tons of blues, which literally nobody's ever going to use those. Why isn't it just like, and then here's some just kind of scattered random armor pieces from throughout the world? Because you could potentially, like as you're just picking up armor, you could go, oh, perfect, this fits into whatever build or whatever min-max set that I'm looking for. Like I don't understand the blues. I don't like. There's so much RNG involved. There's not a specific way to get the specific stat or your roll you're after, unless you turn in your umbrals and you sit at the slot machine and you keep pulling the lever and like you just keep getting rolls, right? There's not a way to grind for it, so I don't know why it can't just be purple drops from the world, because it's just a random chance every time of getting the stat roll you want.
I mean, when it comes to this event, because they came out in the TWAB and said the packages are a way for you to get high rolled stat armor, and yes, they can drop, but the RNG just is terrible. If it takes multiple packages just for you to get a single drop, and yeah, the drop isn't the piece of armor you need, it doesn't have the stat distributions you want, it's garbage. And for how much time you have to put in to get both the packages and enough keys to open them all, just grinding the EAZ, like it takes you a couple EAZ matches just to get one package. So when you do that,
that's like 2 or 3 per.
I mean, you get a bunch of packages. Don't get me wrong.
Like if you're able to get more chests, then you'll get more chance to get a
you'll get a ton of chests, but it costs like 15 keys to open them. And after you do it like once or twice a day, you open those last packages at the end, and they're giving you like 1 or 2 keys a chest. Like it's a grindy run if you're really pushing to try and get enough packages, and for it to drop every 3 or 4 packages, like that to me, it's not worth my time. Like I will not farm that. I already have sets I've put together because of the holdfast sets from the whatever the heck it's called next to the drifter. So
the decryptor.
That and that's honestly what seems so.
Recaster.
Yeah, the recaster. That's what seems so interesting to me, is like they have this event like, oh, you can get high rolled good stat armor, and I'm like, but we already have the recaster, and I can like specifically pick, give me armor, give me one of these weapons, like, and it's not that expensive.
Have you used that lately? Have you gotten in there and like tried it?
What, the one where you
like,
pick your stats?
Yeah, because I've tried it too. Beard, did you have good experience on that?
So when I ran over to do it, former Guardian, I remember you mentioning like, oh yeah, good luck. Like it's just like, it's stupid. Like
it just kind of has a safety net on it.
It's at least 10, which is like 10. What is that? Within, I think it was the first 3 or 4 that I put in. I had boots drop on my Warlock that was 22 or 23 recovery, 23 intellect, 2 for everything else. I was like, I won the game. Like, this is exactly what I'm looking for my high recuv, high intellect build. And that was like within the first 3 or 4 packages. And so I know that the idea is you get at least 10 of whatever stat you're after. I had a fantastic experience with it. It cost me 3 or 4 Umbral Engrams, and I was out of there.
Right.
To get 3 purple drops out of the EAZ, like, how long would I have had to sat there and just ran the thing over and over? So it's just not even that viable of a way to farm for the stats you're looking for. Like, there's a chance of it being really high rolled. I didn't get a high roll on my boots, but I got a perfect roll for what I was looking for. So, I mean, I was happy with it.
Well, and the thing for me on the recaster, because I have done it a couple times where you pick your stat, but to be honest, there's kind of just a randomness. It's one of the perks on there that you can get a higher stat drop, like overall, so you can get above 60 just kind of randomly when you get armor from there. I've honestly just bought from the first tier the armor engrams, and I've put an entire set together for PvE that's solid. It has great stat distributions, and I masterwork the full set and it works great. So and that's kind of my point. Like, if I can go and spend once you've maxed out the perks on the recaster, it's 50 elemental, whatever it's called, that the material you have to spend to focus it. Cost me 50 a piece. Umbral Engrams drop like freaking candy canes on Christmas.
Like candy right now, man.
So you always have them, to the point where your postmaster's filling up with more engrams because you're full with your 10. So anytime they would fill up, I would just show up and just buy a ton of armor, delete the ones that were lower that didn't have the stat distributions I want, and within a couple weeks I had a full set of like, these are the ones I want for PvE. So the packages from the Solstice I get, I guess just for me, seems super lackluster.
Yeah, exactly. They do. They totally feel like that. I was asking about that whole drifter thing because I didn't get really good high stuff. I did I'd put 3 packages in there and I was like, there's nothing good here. Like,
I did get one with 11 in the one I picked.
Your 4th would have been a god roll. Just saying.
Just throwing it out there. Yeah, but then because then you also have to get those other things too when you do that, right? It's not. So I mean.
Yeah, the diamonds.
Yeah, the diamond looking ones. Yeah, so.
And that cost goes up, just like with Spider, until weekly reset. So yeah, if you that's why I say I just started buying the regular ones, and I wasn't saying I want a minimum 10 recovery, but I got a ton that dropped above 20 recovery that were 60, 61, 62. Worked great.
Yeah. See that's the thing, because it's like it's cool when you get things that like armor on a stat base at like 60, 62, but when they're not the stuff you're looking for, then for me they become pointless.
Yeah.
And I don't even keep them. Like if it doesn't have recovery or intellect for me, because obviously we're PvP players, so like we're looking for that high mobility or high recovery intellect, because that's what you need. But when something drops with like 100 like strength, or I'm just like
100 strength, I would take that.
No, but you know what I mean,
me?
like super high strength or something like that, like
resilience. 24
resilience.
resilience. You're like,
that's always an elite, no
Give me
matter
my
what.
damn shards.
You're like, oh my gosh, dude! Like, especially with the metas, like you're dying no matter what.
So that kind of gets into something that is like really been on my mind, like more so the past week, but kind of just like since the whole shader thing, and it's just this idea that Bungie says, hey, we're gonna roll out with whatever it is, a quality of life update, a change in trials, the fact that trials came out. When they announce like weapon buffs / nerfs, it's like they announce certain things. We all complain about a gun, right? Whatever it is. We complain about Last Word, we complain about snipers. Things that need to be brought down a bit to kind of make them back in line, whatever it is. Yeah. And so they make the announcement that something's coming. It gets delivered, they update the game, and then like we have a chance to play with the new announcement, and it's just like, this isn't exactly what we either were A, expecting, or B, wanted.
It rewards 2 tokens in a blue.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Best rewards ever. And then you're like,
freaking love them.
Can't
Not
tell
even
if they're
Bright
aiming.
Dust. So, do you guys think that it just gets to the point where as a player base we expect too much? Like, do we put too much on Bungie to make the game perfect? Or like...
Yes, we do.
Or does Bungie kind of provide things in the way that, like, I mean, is their game... But, like, I just can't help but think sometimes that the way that they want us to play the game and the way that we want to play the game two different things. Kind of, where's the middle ground? Like how, I don't know.
I think we as players of the game have experience with other games, and so when Bungie uses maybe specific words or the way that they're announcing things, we have a certain level of expectation based on what we assume that means. So for example, the shaders, right? You used to play WoW and a few other games, Beard. Like when you heard that, you're like, cool, I'm going to get a little slider that says
Exactly what
0
I
to
thought.
587 Atlantis washes, chuck them all. Bungie was like,
All of 'em.
now you can delete 5 at a time instead of 1. And you sat there like, this is a joke, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is like
Max.
beta, and then you're going to
Shading
roll out
game.
the actual like interface. And so I think that can be part of it. They announced that they're going to release a forge, and all of us are like, we're going to get to craft our own weapons. And it comes out like, do this bounty, and you get a drop. Hope the RNG smiles on you. And we're just like, but you called it a forge, you know? Like, so I think there's definitely just expectations that warranted or not, we have as players that maybe need to be tempered in some way, but we just have this image of the way we want to play the game, and I think Bungie is trying to decipher that and doesn't always maybe do the best job or hit the mark on what it is that we're looking for, what it is we want added to the game when these things happen. So, I mean, take Trials, for example. They're like, oh, like we'll implement the token system and have bounties in there, and you can get stuff, and it turned into this bounty farm where people just railed on people in the first couple matches, and everybody left the game mode. And so there's just things like that where they're like, oh, this will be good, and it just turns out to just be off by however many degrees, you know?
Well, going just staying back to the Solstice topic. Last week I mentioned, is the Solstice like the thing that's gonna carry us over to like Beyond Light, and is gonna be the event we're all hoping for? And sadly enough, it just turned out to be another grinding homework. I don't want to say pointless, because the glows are cool. You get some cool stuff out of it. People dig the EAZ, so you get some cool stuff out of it. But I think for us, like as the community, we like it when we get more rewards after completing an activity. Hence like when Menagerie first came out, when it was busted and everybody was getting all these drops and like crazy, and then Bungie's like, oh, it's not supposed to be like that. You know what I mean? We like it when we get more rewards, because then you get more chances on getting like your builds, and you get better chances on getting your weapons you want, and things like that. So for me, going back to Beard's question, where, man, I didn't even remember your question, bro. It was something like, what'd you ask, dude?
So yeah, it's just like when Bungie says, hey, here's a thing that we're gonna do, whatever the thing is, new game mode, new whatever, new quality of life update.
Solstice
It's usually
Yeah.
event. See, for me though, with the Solstice event, like there wasn't I didn't expect anything more than last year. I expected exactly what last year was, in the sense of it's gonna be grindy, but we're gonna get some cool armor. I think this year is better because we get an ornament almost right off the bat. And then, yeah, you got to spend your glimmer or whatever, or your
don't
bright
get it.
dust.
Okay, yeah, okay. So I remember where I was gonna go with this. So
Yeah.
that's one thing. So that's the ornament. So that's the only objective we get out of this. You know what I mean? That's the only reward. That's
Playing
the only...
dress up is my second favorite thing about this game.
No,
I'm all over the Solstice event.
No, like for sure. Like I respect that. Like I understand, but like for me, for example, like I love the Halloween event, because you get cool emotes, you get cool shaders, and at the end you get a cool weapon. Like a couple years ago you had like Horror Story, last year you got that werewolf Braytech. You know what I mean? Like you, at the end of the tunnel, you get something, whether it's good or not. Like you still put in that effort, and it's a new event, something different. Not, oh, I gotta go regrind strikes, oh, I gotta go regrind this. No, you go into the Infinite Forest, you do this, you do that, and then you keep doing it over and over again. Level it with different bounties, with different gear. You go visit this one person, you know what I mean? And then eventually you get the gun, you get other things along the way that are new. And for me, that's why I love the Halloween event. Is probably my favorite of every event we do in Destiny, because it feels different. It really actually brings a whole live new the meaning to like something new to do, and it's like yearly, so it's not here forever. So when it comes back, it's super fun, super motivating.
Yeah, yeah, Beard. I think the issue is that this event you don't earn anything outside of legendary armor.
And
The
blue,
ornament is not earned outside of having to complete your blues, which you can do in a day. That's the quickest part of the grind. You have to pay for it, whether in game or out game currency. It's in Eververse. That's the reward.
And that does suck.
The white glowing armor only has appeal right now because we know transmog is coming. If we were not prepared for transmog, if nobody knew it was coming, I guarantee you nobody would be as interested in that white glow. And we'd have a bigger issue with the player base being even more upset than they are right now as far as the event, because the ornament is what people want.
And former grind, you need, and to get to the 2020 seal, like you have to do up to the purple stuff. You have to beat the whole purple stuff,
and that's why
so
people
like,
are doing it. The people who want the completion of the seal. But the event itself, like Gamer was saying, has no rewards. Everything in this event is in Eververse. There are ghost shells, there are sparrows, there are ships.
Emotes.
All of it, emotes, all of it is in Eververse. Nothing is earned in game. Nothing is gotten in the EAZ. The only thing you get out of there are packages to get blues and potentially purples if you finish the set. So the only thing you're going after are purple legendary pieces of armor, which, woo, like I agree. Like I play the game because I like to look good, and so I'm all about getting more armor. But again, if transmog was not a thing, I would not care. I already have masterwork sets of armor. The only appeal those legendaries have to me is their future use when I can turn them into an ornament.
Exactly. Like if it was back like year one, where you would drop the specific bright engram, and then through that you had the RNG of getting the glow, I would have loved that, because then again, you're doing the event to get something for the event. It is not just tied down to like a pay method where like, oh, you want this cool thing, well, pay me for it and I'll give it to you.
See, but how bad did that suck? How bad did that suck when you did the whole event and you were only missing the glow on your boots, and that's all you cared about? Yeah. That's all you were missing. The event ended and you never got it.
I don't think year one was a better scenario.
I rocked the void. I had the void set on everything except the helmet. But I mean, I wasn't upset because like at the end of the day, I still had glow to show off. You know what I mean? Like I still had things that I got through it, you know what I mean? And that, which is why I'm going back to the Halloween event, which is what I like, because you do get that, Halloween engram where like all my Halloween emotes were gotten through the engram because I'm participating in an event. This doesn't do anything like that. This is what former Guardian is saying, is what I've been trying to say, is that everything is tied literally to my wallet or to like all these bazillion bright dust that I've gotten through playing the mindless activities over and over again. And instead of doing something,
for sure.
Yeah, instead of doing something like, okay, here's the EAZ. Oh, if you're able to be up to like 10 bosses, you'll get a random bright dust, or you'll get something random to get either an emo or this or that. You know what I mean? There's nothing like that.
Yeah, and I think we've mentioned this in the past. We're trying to be as understandable as possible in the fact that Bungie is not at Bungie headquarters working on this kind of stuff, whether it be patches, whether it be new content. They're in a situation, in their defense, to where we have to again temper our expectations as far as what is possible. But the fact that this stuff is not earnable in game is the real conversation here. It's a live event, free for everybody, new light players to season pass owners, but nothing is earnable outside of legendary armor. There's no weapons, there's no Solstice weapons of any kind, and there's no way to earn shaders, sparrows, ships, emotes, transmat effects. None of that is earnable through any kind of an activity. The freaking packages don't drop them, dude. Shaders, transmat effects, was it too hard to throw those in the packages instead of the blues? And maybe it's mostly shaders and like shaders and transmats are, who cares? Half the transmats you're never going to use. The stupid icons that go over your ghost I've never equipped in my life because I've never found one that I felt was worth it.
I have one that I like.
I mean, throw those in there, man. Just don't give me stupid blues. Like,
it looks like Batman. Kind of cool.
So did you guys see Aztecross's video on the TWAB last week about the free glow?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that does kind of get to the heart of like I said, I was digging this year over last year just because ornaments is literally the thing that I care about second most out of the entire game. And so I don't have that much complaining, but I also had the bright dust stored up to be able to just get the glows.
Yeah.
But the fact
Yeah.
that you're right, you can't just play the game and then either A, earn the bright dust, like have more ways of getting it, but then the fact that, like, yeah, you play and then you get the free glow after you've masterworked or gotten to that point in the armor progression, I do think is a little bit of like a, hey, this one's for free. Like, we're gonna give this one to you. You had to pay for the other ones, but at least this one doesn't cost you anything. I think it does kind of again, tie everything back into Eververse, which ultimately is our complaint about this year's Solstice event is Eververse.
Right, but hold on, Beard. To get this free stuff, you got to get 7 wins in trials, and you got to get you have to beat the Master Nightfall ordeal in Master mode, and you have to do Pit of Heresy, and you got to do the Altar of Sorrows 3 times, not once, all 3 times.
All the end game stuff, which and we're at the point in the conversation where we're transitioning into kind of our next set of topic. But to kind of introduce that, I do want to pose this question because it is a hot topic within the community, is how you guys feel about 7 trials wins being a requirement both on the seal and on a piece of the armor for the glow.
I think out of us 3, I was most excited about it just because it brought more people to trials. Now, I know UT did something different. I know you guys will bring it up. I stayed with the PC on trials. I was going to do Xbox, but we ended up just staying on PC. And the amount of players that we faced it was really balanced, more balanced than I've ever seen it before. Maybe from the first week you can get up to 3, 4, 5 wins, right, pretty easily. And that's what happened this time, and I think that had to do a lot with more players participating in trials because they wanted their 7 wins. So the first 2 matches weren't that sweaty. It was not sweaty at all. You might have seen a cheater here and there. But it added more players to that loot system or to pull out, and it didn't really, like I said, it didn't really feel as sweaty. We got up to 5 wins pretty easily, and then it got sweaty obviously after that, because that's what you expect in trials. That's where the sweats should come in, So like I said, we got pretty darn far in the card on PC without facing that many cheaters and not facing that many sweaty teams, which is interesting for me, because for me that was an eye-opener where if Bungie made it right where you have this large amount of players playing this game mode, how easier and enjoyable it can be, instead of just watching a streamer and get a chance to hope you get carried because it's that sweaty and it's that intense. Those are my thoughts.
So I've seen, like you said, Former Guardian and I, we jumped into Stadia to do trials because we did not want to deal with cheaters, and myself more specifically didn't want to have to use a controller. I know Former Guardian ended up switching to controller, and that's because of the lag.
Dude,
with
PR statement, if you haven't played Stadia,
oh my goodness.
I don't do drugs. I wouldn't recommend doing them while playing Stadia because holy crap, it was a trip.
It was very bad. It was almost nauseating, how it just was everything was in slow motion. It was crazy.
And input delay specifically is what we're talking about when we say lag.
Yes.
The game itself wasn't glitchy or anything like that. It looks fine. But you trying to track somebody and get shots on them, everything's just slightly delayed on your inputs, is very, very tilting and frustrating.
So, and as a funny side note, so this was the first time we had any of us had logged into the trial of Stadia. We'd never done it before. It was Former Guardian and then Taka we had last week on the show. Oh yeah, I guess you did that one time. But anyways, I'd never done anything Stadia. Right, and so then immediately after the one trials card that we tried, we didn't even care to continue playing, but it was also pretty late. I went to cancel the subscription because then in a month it charges you the $10 or whatever, And then one of the reasons for canceling was like, oh, so you don't like HDR sound and 4K video and this many frames and blah blah blah. I was like, I didn't get any of that. I was like 720p. It was like somewhere in between 30 to 60 frames, maybe. And I was just like, you have the balls, Stadia. So you didn't like my 4K?
Yeah.
Oh man,
It was insane. It was so bad.
So I will say, because I was the one who had played on Stadia, but I will play it on my phone, and I have a little bracket that isn't next to me to show, but there's a bracket that hooks on my PlayStation controller that I can mount my phone to the top of, and I freaking play it like a Game Boy. Coolest thing ever. It's like my favorite thing to do at night when I'm about to go to bed. I'll be sitting in bed with my little handheld playing Destiny. I almost always exclusively PvE stuff. I'll just go grind out some strikes. I'll run some like nightmare hunts to get some umbrals early on when the season started. Stadia, in my opinion, is pretty cool. Don't hop into trials.
Don't do it.
In my personal opinion, outside of the fact that we played against only 2 teams, sometimes back to back, sometimes the same team over and over. Apologize to the team that we beat 3 times in a row, but we appreciate the wins.
Yeah, Gamer. Our first 3, no, that was the first 2 matches.
First 2 matches in a row was the same team. Third match was a different team. Fourth match was the same beginning team as before.
that's ridiculous.
It was sad.
We were like the only 3 teams playing on Stadia. It was insane.
So that's what I'm saying, Beard. Is that I think if you guys would have stayed on PC, you guys would have had a different experience, because like we did just as far. We got far in the car just as far as you guys did on Stadia. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like maybe if you guys did try trials this last weekend, it would have been a different experience. Just because, like I said, there was more people in the system, like in the loop, that were playing the game. I'm curious to see how many people actually did play on it. And I know some people were like kind of like, oh, I saw this. There's more DDoSing on Xbox or on PlayStation. There's more of that stuff going on. But honestly, I think for me, I can only speak for me because I only did PC this weekend. I didn't jump on a console. Is that it was probably the best experience of trial I've had since day 1 launch.
That's big. That's
So-
a bold statement.
Going back to my original question on your guys' thoughts and feelings on it being a requirement, I do think that having more people in the playlist is good population-wise. More people in any playlist is always going to be better, even if it's just strikes so that you match make quicker. But specifically Crucible, and especially when you're talking skill-based matchmaking, a larger pool of people to pull from is just going to make everything better. Connections, the way it matches up on skill, all that's going to be better. And I think that was a very positive side effect to this. But people's issues with the fact that they're requirements, and the only reason I'd say I'd back them, is because there are people out there who do not have IRL friends they can hop into a 3-man team to go do trials.
I agree.
And this kind of goes back to a little bit of what we were talking about last week with Taka and how Destiny tries to be an RPG, but they're missing core elements. There's no LFG in the game of Destiny outside of matched-made game modes like Strikes and regular Crucible. So if somebody wants to find a team to go even just complete the 7 wins, not even in a row, on those boots or on their Triumph or whatever, they have to go outside of the game to find people, connect with them over Reddit or some LFG site or somewhere. Don't go to Reddit, by the way. That was a stupid comment.
I was like, whoa.
They have to go to some outside source. You know, there's no game hub location to where you can say looking for a group to do trials. You know,
Which is funny, because going back to one of our earlier topics, when Destiny 2 launched, the farm was presented as a new social space. And yeah, it's a social space, but like whatever is in Destiny's code where you can't have more than like 10 or 12 people or whatever in the same space is like, how social of a space is it? There's no like solid in-game like world chat. There's, like you said, there's no LFG space in the game.
Yeah.
And so there are things that are missing out for it to truly be an MMO.
Right.
so that's
again, it's kind of
that's a lot of people's complaints, and like I said, I sympathize with that, because all of Destiny 1, which went on for 4 years, the only friend I knew of IRL who played that game was Taka, who was on the show last week. So we never raided. I never completed a single raid outside of one time we cheesed Atheon for my D1 vets out there back when that was possible. Never got to play a raid. I was never max light until the very end where they made it possible to do that through Iron Banner. I was never able to do those endgame activities because I simply didn't know enough people, and there wasn't any way within the game for me to party up with people to be able to do those kind of activities. And so if there was some kind of source where from Orbit you can pull down a list on text chat of people trying to LFG and party up, and when Destiny 2 launched, one of the biggest advertisements on all the trailers and the things the devs talked about was having an LFG in game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You guys can, and none of us can even think of the name. Guided Games.
Guided Games.
Oh, yeah.
And you were supposed to be able to put out and looking for however many people, and it would put all of your clan details so people could see like your logo, and like you could put, casual people just looking to have fun. And so if you were like a sweaty gamer, you could go through and find a clan that's like, hardcore wanting to get top points on strikes or whatever they put in the LFG, and it flopped big time. And it, as far as I know, got like taken out of the game. I think you can see remnants of it in certain places. It has the little guided game symbol.
I left the thing in the Postmaster that you're supposed to pick up.
Yeah.
It just
I just left it in there.
It never took off. It was just it was poorly implemented, and they never dedicated the time and resources to fixing it and making it work correctly, and so it just doesn't exist in the game. And so I do sympathize for the people who are like, it's not that they're pissed that I have to win 7 matches. It's how am I going to find somebody? They got to go to some online source, and if they're like, I don't know, maybe young in age, they don't feel comfortable trying to meet strangers across the internet, like, how are you supposed to do that? There's people that are just missing out on this free event. Bungie's like, go get your free glow. And there's people that like, I don't have anybody to party up with physically. Like we saw somebody on Twitter, Gamer and I like shot out like, hey, if you guys need a team to do a raid or whatever, like let us know, because there's people out there that just legit miss out on that content because they don't have people to do it with. So as positive as an effect as it had on the player base for having more people in the game mode, I think Bungie needs to find a way to drive that interest to get people back into the playlist without making it a requirement on a basic free event that everybody is supposed to have access to, when that's essentially gating people out of it.
And we talked about it off the show too. Like, we saw less cheaters this weekend in Trials. It's like the fact that, my opinion, don't think this is asking too much, seeing any cheaters in Trials. Seeing cheaters should be the exception. That should not be the rule. Flat out. Maybe with the new expansion coming, there's already something in play. Like, we've talked about that before. But going back to the LFG thing, I do remember now, like, when they mentioned that, when they talked about guided games, and I remember thinking, like, okay, this is going to be an in-game LFG. More or less. Maybe a Bungie style, a Bungie version of it.
It's supposed to be.
It wasn't exactly shipped that way, though. And then, like you said, it flopped. And so it's just kind of, again, like, that was what Bungie figured we wanted in an LFG. I don't think it's that far-fetched to pull from other games that we've played with in-game LFGs and go, okay, it's going to be something like what World of Warcraft has, or it's going to be something like, I don't know, Elder Scrolls have an LFG? I don't know. I just said that's another game that
you can walk into a city. There's a much higher limit on how many people can be in a city, and you can throw out in the global text chat looking for a party to do whatever, and you can hook up with people.
Anthem.
Oh boy. Cut the tapes.
Great. You said the A word on the podcast. Now we got to edit that out. Told you not to swear, gamer. Gosh dang it.
Freaking embarrassing.
Look, at the end of the day, like, we know Trials is it's a hot mess, obviously. So for me, that's why it was really nice to go and experience this, what we saw this weekend, where there was more players on there. It just showed you how Trials can actually get and how fun it can get if there's more players playing there. And obviously, there's got to be some major changes into Trials, because all you see are now, like, kind of like what we say it every week, all you see is cheaters and high tier end players playing. And I don't know what you can do to fix that. obviously Moment of Triumphs and the Solstice stuff right now
Depth
is
weapons.
more players in there. But
First
maybe
step.
doing something like that where you're just bringing players in. Oh, you got to do this for the seal. You got to do this for this bounty. You got to do this for this. Maybe that could help, but at the same time, going back to former Guardian said, at the end of the day, a casual player, like there's like Aster Cross said, there's free glow. Okay, I want my free glow. Oh, I gotta get 7 trials, but I'm a solo player. How am I gonna get my free trial? Like, how am I
I
gonna
thought
get
it
my
was
free?
free.
I thought it
Yeah,
was
like,
free.
I thought it's free. Like, what the heck? You know what I mean? So at the like that that's a bummer for that. I do agree. I do agree with that.
So two
I
things
for that.
for me is what if I think Bungie should take away from this that we want to play trials, right? When they
Yes.
include it in some
Pretty sure.
other area of the game, we want to go do it, so we'll put up with cheaters to get there. And then the second thing is what if they gave it the survival playlist treatment and they came up with a solo queue trials where only solo players get to go in.
Some people in chat said that they want that matchmaking thing on it, which would help. But look, this is what I think. Now, hear me out. Like, you guys didn't play Overwatch, did you? Then you guys
I've played
See,
it.
I think like the way Overwatch does its comp is through ranks. So for me, like, if you're gonna carry someone to get their rank high, it tells you, are you sure you want to play with this player, because it could hurt your rank. So at the end of the day, you're always gonna play players like it's almost like skill-based matchmaking, pretty much. So but you have a ranking system.
So
Bungie's skill-based match. Bungie's
Bro,
SBMM is very different than
hear
other
me
games.
out. Hear me out. But like, think about it. If you have a ranking system in trials where it's based on flawless, I think I would like that, because what I'm getting frustrated is when I get to 5 or 6 wins, or 4 or 5, whatever, when I'm deep in the card, and the what prevents me from going is a stacked team that's already gone flawless like 4 or 5, 600 times. Like that breaks it for me. Not because like
on the same card, you mean?
okay, yeah, exactly. Like you're going far in the card. Like I understand it's it's card connection based. I get that, so you're gonna face someone who's on game 6 just as well as you are. But like for me, I haven't gone flawless yet, so like I'm not complaining about that. I don't really care. Like I don't think trials identifies if you're a good PvP player or not. I mean, it could. I mean, that's just me.
Not in the state it's in, no.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've gone legend twice. I don't know what that means, but it means anything. But I'm not flexing or anything. I'm just saying that like I can hold my own in PvP. I can go flawless, but obviously, at the end of the day, for me, it's why am I matching with people who've already gone flawless like over 100 times?
Wait, so you're telling me you want like a Halo 3 ranking system where you match people similar to like your ranking? Dude, I don't know if Bungie's capable of something like that.
Exactly. See, that's what I'm saying. It's like I think
that's just a different playlist. Like that sounds like what
did you guys
Comp
play Halo
originally
3?
launched as.
But like but that's what I'm saying. Like okay, I know Overwatch is something different, but like that's what I liked about Overwatch competitive mode, where like in my friends were diamond and I'm still stuck in like gold, and I want to be diamond, they would carry me with them to get to diamond, and I mean it was a grind. We did it, but like at the same time though, it was fun, like because you had that high end activity, and then at the end of the day, even on comp, like it was still matchmaking, like which was cool, like but you only played people within your own rank system, which was still like pretty awesome, you know what I mean? And obviously you had a mic. If you didn't have a mic, you had a chat box that you can type in there like, oh hey, do this, do that, you know what I mean? Like there were still ways to communicate with your teammates without having to like have a mic, you know what I mean? So I mean, I don't know how to fix trials, obviously, like I mentioned it.
Get rid of the cheaters.
But like that's what I'm saying. So like that's hard to do on itself.
Is it though? Like
that but Bungie's making it hard to do that, man. Like, come on. Like how many cheaters we face like on a daily basis, even on Control?
Dude, I just put up a clip on Twitter the other day of, because Talk and I were playing and we were talking about it, and we're like, yeah, sometimes like you suspect somebody might be, and then you clip it and you go back and watch it and you're like, I don't know, like it's not as obvious as what it felt like when they were hitting the shot or whatever. But I straight caught these kids. They would snap back and forth between my two teammates who were at 12 and 3 o'clock, and it was instantaneous. Pointing at one dude, pointing at the other dude, and they're behind walls. And I was like, really, guys? We're in basic B Crucible. Like, come on. This isn't survival playlist. This isn't trials. You get nothing but 3 blues from winning this match. And guess what? If you lose, you're still gonna get the 3 blues.
I want to get that legend, man. I want those 7 enhancement cores.
That's amazing.
It was crazy. So
but,
yeah,
we could always talk about trials. We bring it up almost every time we get on here.
We will until it's fixed, and then we'll have something else to complain about.
Exactly. Like, we love PvP, and what we want is good content overall.
Yeah,
and good content that people can enjoy.
My 2 cents as far as a solo playlist for trials, I don't think it's the right move. I think it would be the same as having like a solo queue for a raid. Like, it would be a cluster, first of all. And the concept is trials is the endgame PvP activity, while raids are the endgame PvE activity. It requires you to form a party and go in and effectively communicate. It's not just be able to get kills.
That's true.
It's be able to coordinate, the way that you play the game, same as coordinating, mechanics on a raid. And so that's why I say if there was just an LFG element to the game itself, to where you could hop in to a global party chat of people looking and specifically itemize, even just PvP versus PvE activities, and go through and just see a bunch of LFG trials group, and you can say, hey, I'm up for trials, and join up on a party of 2 or 3 rando guys. But now you can hop in and you can chat with each other, and you can go play the game mode, and you can the 3 of you, even though you don't know each other, have formed a party and be able to communicate and effectively try and beat the game mode. I mean, that I think would, first of all, just bring more people to the playlist, because there's a lot of people who are locked out of it and that they feel that they can't put a team together, or just timing-wise, it's hard to get all their friends together at the same time to be able to play together. That aside, Trials has other issues as far as rewards and incentives that need to be dealt with as well. But yeah, and then the cheaters, like those I would say are the 3 main categories. Is people just not being able to get in because they don't have a team, or they can't coordinate a team in a certain time over the few days that Trials is available. So LFG can help fix that, getting rid of cheaters, because it just makes for a toxic playlist and drives people away from it to where they don't want to play. And then having incentives that also further make people want to even go in the first place, because there's something they're trying to chase. So
I think I would even take it one step further and just say any adjustment to the Trials playlist, any adjustment at all, is only a band-aid until the cheaters are addressed.
100%. Because that's the festering problem with that playlist. And PvP in general, granted, because like we've talked about before, even if somebody's not cheating, the sheer fact that people will suspect it causes the PvP economy or ecosystem to just be negative. You'll be playing a game of 6v6, and one of your teammates will throw onto the team chat, oh, that guy's cheating, mother, and just start spewing all this crap about this guy he doesn't know, he's never played against, and he might be cheating, but he might not, and there's just no way for you to know as a player. He could have hit that incredible snipe. You don't know. But we all suspect it because we know cheaters are running rampant on PC right now, and the cheaters have to get dealt with for PvP to be in a better state, and specifically Trials.
Yeah, I guess the bottom line, I guess we can all agree on, is if we get more players in there, it's a better experience for everybody.
Yeah.
Hands down, elimination, in my opinion, best game mode that exists in Destiny for PvP play.
100%.
If I go in, if I'm not playing Rumble just to...
I also do like survival, though.
So I was going to say, survival and elimination are the only game modes I play if I'm partying up with friends. If I'm alone, oftentimes I'll hop into Rumble just to try and better my one-on-one play, because you're usually in a 1v1 in Rumble until somebody comes in third party. So
shotguns your
elimination and survival are really the only playlists I even like to go into, and elimination would be my top choice out of the 2. But Trials just isn't the place to play right now with the way the game mode is.
Running rampant. Yep, exactly.
Well, I think I speak for all of us when I say I want to give a huge, massive, heartfelt thank you to anybody who's been listening to us live, whether you found us on Facebook, whether you found us on Twitch. We really appreciate it. We sincerely do. And we appreciate it if you have looked us up on Spotify and you've just listened to the audio version of the podcast as well. It would help us tremendously, whether you're listening to this right now as we're doing this or you're listening to us afterwards. If you come find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and you like and subscribe to us, we're working on getting our podcast out to other outlets as well. But just liking us, subscribing to us, following us on Twitter, sharing us to your friends, though, it would be huge. We would very much appreciate that. We'll follow you back on Twitter. We are not stingy with our follows. It is for free for both of us, so you have nothing to lose. Thanks again so much for coming and listening. We hope you enjoyed. Former Guardian, where can people find you if they want to hit you up?
Yeah, you guys can talk to me on Twitter at Former Guardian.
Excellent. Not So Gamer?
You can find me on Facebook and on Twitter on Not So Gamer 91, and you can catch me on Twitch streaming 5 days a week at Not So Gamer _ under the Not in the So.
Excellent. And if you feel the need to chat with me, you can also find me on Twitter at The Real Beard. Thank you all so much. We will see you next week. Let's go play some Destiny.
Let's go click some heads.
Let's do it. Let's go get cheated against.